When fat guys talk, people listen. Hey everyone, welcome to another installment of Fat Guy Talks. I'm the fat guy. Just thought I would break out one of these. You know, it feels like I haven't been doing quite as many of these lately with Breakfast Boy and the new pop quiz series. So I thought I would just kind of, take it back, do a bit of a simpler video. It's a lot less work for me, but I hope you enjoy it all the same. So this is a subject that I actually have some fresh thoughts about because this originated from a conversation I was a part of last night. Excuse me. Working overnights, one thing that there is definitely an abundance of is time. And how do you, pass the time when you're not working? With your coworkers, well, you talk to them, you just talk BS about whatever comes to mind. And one subject that came up, I actually entered this conversation midway through, but it was about video games. And I believe it was, I believe the subject, the topic of the conversation was something along the lines of, violence in video games and how it's, basically how it influences violence that we see, every day in real life. So, and that was like a big talking point when I was a kid. I can remember very well, hearing about these kind of discussions. See, the thing with me is, I do play games. I do play a lot of video games. I've played a lot of video games basically since I was like 6. And some of my it might sound a little pathetic, but I some of my like happiest memories have happened, with friends or family while playing video games, or sometimes I just get such an adrenaline rush, and I feel so accomplished if I beat a hard level on a game or whatever. There's all kinds that I played. I really started with the Nintendo franchises, so Mario, Zelda, Pokemon, and I still play those, regularly. But as I grew older, I got into different kinds of games. I gave shooters a try. I'm not very good at those. Fighting games I really enjoy. All kinds. Right now I'm actually playing this one game on my PC that I've put a really embarrassing amount of hours into. It's like basically a Candy Crush clone, but with different RPG, like fantasy elements. So, think Candy Crush, but with like goblins and dragons and skulls. Cool stuff like that. So I don't want to just ramble on about video games all day here. The point is, just to give you a little background, I do play video games. I've played video games for most of my life, and I'll probably continue to play video games because it's just something I enjoy doing to pass the time. It's not like the only thing I do. I like to read, I like to hang out with friends, watch movies, listen to music, but playing games is just kind of something easy for me. And I think when I was a kid, it was a much bigger part of my identity than it is today. When you're at that age, you're kind of searching for your identity. And for a while, my thing was I play games. I'm a gamer. And it's funny, back when I was a kid and I was going around basically living this way, like I said, the big controversy was violence in video games. I'm sure it's still there to some degree, but in the last like decade or so, I think there's been definitely a social stigma amongst people who play video games. The word gamer is so just loaded now. It makes you think of Gamergate, which is basically a campaign of harassment against, female, I believe gaming developers, maybe gaming journalists too. I don't know too much about the subject, but it's the word to call yourself a gamer. It's in some circles, it's almost like a joke. It's almost like, it's almost, it really is just a stigma in some ways, and it's, it's not like that for everybody. And I know a lot of people who do consider themselves gamers who are, wonderful people. But it's just like anything, it goes back to the violence in video games. Does it really influence violence in real life? Probably, to some degree, absolutely. I know that the kids who did Columbine back in 1999, they were really into this one game, Doom. But you got to consider, it's really not just video games that have gotten violent. I mean, it's TV, it's books, movies. I mean, and with the internet, there's just such a wide variety of different forms of entertainment, and also access to a lot of different depictions of violence, and it's just, things are so heightened, especially in this country right now. Tensions are at a high, and I really hesitate to put a lot of that blame on the media itself. I think a lot of it kind of has to go to, it might sound a little cliche, but I think a lot of people who, take in this violent content and, do violence onto others, I think they lack a certain level of discipline to not be able to, like, you can watch Game of Thrones and not disembowel people or horses. It's not, like, a huge thing to ask for most people. And of course, there's, different varieties of, mental, I want to say illnesses, but yeah, mental illnesses, it's just some things, and it's almost like you can't explain it because you can't really begin to understand how that person's thought process works. And there's always going to be that little level of mystery. I think, basically, if I had to weigh in on the whole violence in video games thing, and whether gamers really are just antisocial creeps who target and harass women and threaten violence or whatever, it's I guess I would have to say it's just easy to blame that culture. It's really easy to blame that medium of entertainment than to acknowledge that some of this is just, it's kind of out of our hands, and at the same time it's not. There's different things we could be doing to treat mental abnormalities. There's different things we could be doing to make the world we live in less polarized, less just emotionally charged. So that's kind of just my 2 cents. This it's funny, it started as just a conversation about gaming, and it's kind of turned into a little bit of a, I guess, just psychoanalysis or social commentary on, you know, sort of the state of the world that we live in right now, and just how ultimately we need to take responsibility for our own actions. And yet at the same time, you know, there are people who are just incapable of doing so due to whatever, you know, mental thing they have going on with them. So a lot to take in. But speaking of video games, that is actually one thing I've been thinking of for the channel. I have been thinking about doing, you know, what are called Let's Plays, which is basically just what it sounds like. It's me playing through a game, maybe giving a little commentary on it. I've been considering that for a few different games, so, you know, it's something that once I figure out all the technology and everything on that, I would be very interested in doing. And if you're interested in seeing that, please let me know. And if you have any thoughts on today's video, please go ahead and share them. Like the video if you liked it. Subscribe if you haven't already. Invite the fat guy into your life. Every Tuesdays, the fat guy posts a new video. So there might even be more than one video per week. Maybe, just maybe. So thanks for watching, everybody. This has been Fat Guy Talks, and I'm signing out. Have a good day.